difference between cap rate and cash flow, just so everybody's on the same page and we use the same terminology in our minds. Cap rate is your cash flow without debt, unlevered cash flow, right? Mm-hmm. So your net operating income, well, cash flow is after debt service. Now, in the market that we've been in forever here, you put 20% down on a property, you expect that you're going to have a higher cash on cash return than if you paid cash for the property.
Yep. And I've had a lot of clients confused by that in the past. Cash buyers that are going, how? I'm borrowing money and I'm paying interest. How is that better for me to finance? And I've had to explain that for several years. I've never had to explain it in reverse.
Yeah. And on our properties, Heather, so far, we haven't had to explain that. Mm-hmm. But we are quite a bit more picky than a lot of other companies that sell properties like this. But here in a little bit, it is going to get to the point, unless things shift very quickly, right? Which doesn't usually happen. Usually it takes a while for sellers to realize, oh crap, I can't increase my price 15% and somebody's going to pay that. At some point that's going to stop and the prices are going to normalize and they may come down a little bit even. In the meantime, and potentially even after that, if the prices don't come down and the interest rates continue to climb, it gets to the point where if you put 20% or 25% down on a property, your cash on cash return actually ends up being less than if you paid cash for the property.
So it drops below the cap rate.
Yeah. Now, that doesn't seem possible.
Yeah. If
you've only been in the market for like a decade, it just doesn't seem possible because that's never been the case. But it actually does happen, and we're getting close. There was a friend of mine who posted on Facebook the other day explaining something about this, and they used a 4% interest rate and a 6% interest rate, and there's not a whole lot of difference between the two of those. But if you have a very small cash flow at 4%, which guys, we look at a lot of different properties. We could find properties all day long that have a small cash flow, a 7% return at 6 or 7% cash on cash return at 4%. Literally all day long. You literally buy anything almost, and that would work in any of the areas we're in. We're trying to do more than that, which means that when we move up to 6%, we're still not quite there. But if you started with a 7% or an 8% cash on cash return and your interest rate moves 2%, it flips and flips pretty dramatically. You're going to flip somewhere between 2 and 3% cash on cash return, where if you paid cash, you're closer to, that 4 to 6% range. It completely flips upside down.
Yeah.
And the reason, guys, is because when your mortgage payment goes up, it eliminates the cash flow. When it shrinks the cash flow to what you used to get on a monthly basis, a couple $100s a month, now is a couple $100s a year because your payment went up that much. You can clearly see what happens to the return. Where if you pay cash, it's still a few $1,000s a year. It's a weird phenomenon, but it happens in this kind of a market. And if interest rates stay high and go higher, we could be in this particular market cycle or moving into this market cycle and stay in this market cycle for quite a while. So that begs the question, why the heck are people still buying properties when this is the market cycle that we're in? There's a number of answers for that.
I can tell you one that I'm a big fan of. I just told my husband this week, I said, I don't have enough property under contract for our tax liability. I said, we have to get moving. We have to we have a little bit of debt we want to pay off from a car purchase that I made. I love the way I talk about my life on here all the time. Everyone's gonna be like, yeah, I know you got a van. Anyway, but because we financed it for 6 months because they had a great incentive for it. So we're paying that off. And then I'm trying to just forecast and get stuff under contract that can close this year. Because the tax savings for me is my whole down payment back. So even if my cash on cash return drops, if I'm making 100% back in a write-off, then I'm all in.
And the key to that is that if you're doing that and the property is still cash flowing, right? Exactly. I mean, it's still cash flowing pretty well.